What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to another video, and welcome to another sort of thread response that is focused on the year 1985. This one's going out to my boy Mike over at MGK Boston. I'll have all his shit down below. But he was telling a story about a lot of music that he was listening to in 1985. Now, here's the thing with me is I wasn't alive in 1985. I was born in 1990, so I wasn't listening to a whole lot of music in 1985. But I kind of scoured the collection and was thinking, okay, well, what are my favorite albums that I have that came out in 1985? Interestingly enough, I didn't have as many. I'm very happy with my list of top 5 or whatever, but there's a handful of records out there that I swore I had, and I was like kind of transfixed that I didn't. So, Hounds of Love, Kate Bush. I love that record. I don't have it. There's a handful of others. It was a weird time. 85 was kind of a weird time, I think, in terms of the music I like and what I'm into. But again, I have 5. Are these my definitive top 5? Probably not, but you know what? It's fun for what it is. And these are semi-ranked, although don't take it too seriously. So my number 5, we'll count down from 5 to 1. My number 5 is from a band. This is their biggest album by far. From a band I didn't really get or appreciate early, and I'm still, I think I'm still learning to really appreciate them. But there's no doubt that they just kind of approached music in a different way. Composition, complexity, all that was just very different than what was going on at the time. And they're still going strong today. They put out a record, I think, last year that was really strong. But the record I am talking about is Songs from the Big Chair from Tears for Fears. Again, it was, their debut was at The Hurting, was very dark. It had the original All Around Me Are Familiar Faces that was later covered for like Donnie Darko and won like a million awards. They kind of moved away from that darkness and moved to, again, a little bit more complexity in the music, more focused on instrumentation, all that kind of stuff. I think about, obviously, the big songs on here, Shout, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I always think about just how cool that intro sort of rhythm is and like how hard it is to sort of like catch on to it and hit it on time. Head Over Heels, love that song. Deeper Cuts, The Working Hour with that sax, I love. is it Seeds of Love? Is that the name of it? I would really like that album. Again, sort of stylistically, not usually what I'm into, but I'm really learning to dig what they do. And the other thing too is just sonically, this record sounds amazing. So yeah, Songs from the Big Chair is my number 5. Number 4 is a band that is interesting. This is also their second album they're kind of difficult to describe stylistically. They early on, they were called like gothic rock, or almost like, I don't know if it really falls into that. To me, they've always just been a really great hard rock British band. And I am talking about The Cult and their album Love. So this is really what kicked it off for them, especially with the hit off here, She Sells Sanctuary. That sort of laid the groundwork for what was going to come with Electric, and then of course Sonic Temple a little bit later. But this is where it all really kicks off. And I think a band that, to me, I know a lot of people throw these terms around, but criminally underrated. Again, it's weird that they sort of were called gothic rock. It's weird when you look at like the music videos of this time, like what Ian is like dressed as and how like it's just a weird sort of thing. And I understand it was probably a little bit confusing, but a band that I love, especially that streak right there. Those 3 albums are just killer. Love, Electric, and Sonic Temple. So 1985, my number 4 choice is going to be The Cult and Love. Number 3 might be a bit of a controversial pick. I was kind of deciding where I wanted to put this, but I listened to it again. I was like, you know what? I really like a lot of the stuff on here. It is, of course, one of my favorite bands, which kind of earns it in this spot, I guess, of 3. I think a lot of fans at the time were like, I don't know about this. But if you think about the transition of their sound, they really started transitioning, 6 years earlier in a lot of different ways. But the record I'm talking about is almost said Moving Pictures, is Power Windows from Rush. when I said that you mark the transition, I mean, you could argue that Permanent Waves started with some more kind of keyboardy stuff and obviously moving pictures. And then Signals was an even bigger sort of switch. And then you had sort of Grace Under Pressure, which was sort of fit in here. And then this almost moves to like, dare I say, what people would call like more artsy rock, more synth pop, all those different things. I mean, it kicks off with the big money, big money goes around the world, and it's like, who is this? Who are we listening to? Sort of thing. Manhattan Project, great. What is the other one? Middletown Dreams, love. I have always loved the song Marathon, and I think I fully recognize that it might not be the greatest song, but I don't know. I think what's interesting here is that Rush kind of taught us, like, not only are they like the best, baddest, amazing prog hard rock musicians out there, fuckers could write a good pop song too. They could write a great hook, and there are so many of these. Now, I think history, in my opinion, has been kind to this, where it has not been kind to the next. Was that Trial by Fire? Is it Trial by Fire? Whatever it is. Whatever the next one is with Amy Mann singing on it with Time Stands Still. But I think history has been kinder to this one. So again, a little bit controversial. I'm sure the people who love the early proggy stuff are like, no, they lost me here. But I still find a lot of value and enjoyment out of this record. Number 2, I'm cheating a little because it's not a studio record, it's a live record. But I love the album, and I think there's an argument here that this might be, if someone told me this was the best live album of all time, I would agree with them. I think a lot of old school people would say like, oh, it can't be, it's, metal. But I think when you talk about definitive double heavy metal albums and heavy metal bands, this laid the foundation for everything that would, that would come after and still is today. And I guess my second favorite release of 1985 is going to be Live After Death from Iron Maiden. First of all, great name for a live album. Second of all, Scream for Me Long Beach. And third, I mean, it's just, everything about this is perfect. I think this is, Power Slave Tour, amazing set list. They play great, they play all the bangers. They play some of the longer, more epic type stuff. They, they do everything. It sounds great. The musicianship's amazing. Classic cover too. I mean, all of this just sort of comes together in such a perfect way. And again, I just think in terms of the genre, to me, this is like I don't want to, to me, this is like the Fillmore East of like metal, right? Like, I think they would be put in the same sort of category when you talk about music. So yeah, I'm going Live After Death from Iron Maiden, second favorite. And my first favorite, and I'd be shocked, well, I'm actually surprised my boy Steve didn't show this one, but I was thinking, I listened to this again, and this had always been second for me in their catalog, my second favorite, because I preferred the one after it. But after listening to this again, I'm like, you know what? If there are days I might like this one a little bit more. This is one of my favorite bands, neo-progressive band in the 80s. The record I'm talking about is Misplaced Childhood from Marillion. This was their third studio album, and full concept record, really kind of walking through Fish's or Derek Dick's sort of trials and tribulations. I think the story is that he wrote this whole thing on like some 24-hour acid trip or something. Brilliant lyrics. He's such a brilliant lyricist. Fighting with sort of fame, fighting with obviously the, some childhood and all these different things going on, drugs. There's just so much going on. The Marillion's the type of band that there are musical passages or lyrical passages that make, kind of like the hair stand up on your skin type of stuff. So I absolutely love Marillion. I think a lot of people, especially more the proggers of the past, don't appreciate maybe the sound as much, because the thing is with Marillion is, and especially this record, it's very 80s sounding, which, shocker, it was fucking 80s. So my top pick from 1985 is going to be Marillion, Misplaced Childhood. I mean, Kayleigh, Lavender, Childhood's End, just everything. Perfect, and everything flows together. It really does kind of flow together like I guess 2 consecutive pieces. So yeah, those are my picks. There you are, my friend Mike. Hope you enjoyed. Hope everybody else enjoyed and maybe learned some things. Let me know your favorite albums from 1985, and yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.